So again, a lot of little things went on this past week, so we're just going to get right to it. Hope you enjoy it. This 09 Ford came in with a steering complaint, or it would steer, but every once in a while there was a hard spot as the steering wheel was being rotated. Didn't notice any power steering issues or anything like that that would have led to it, so we thought it was more mechanical. Actually, thanks to a couple of my past graduates, James Goodall and Joe Curritt, we're checking out the universal joints for the steering shaft. That could be a possible problem. So let's get this thing apart and see if that's what we find.
To remove the shaft, we take out 2 pinch bolts, and then the shaft will come right out. Not a lot of room to show you everything that's going on, but the new shaft is going in. We're going to show you what happened to the old shaft next.
Here's what was going on with that steering shaft. At each end of the shaft it has universal joints similar to what are in drive shafts in a vehicle, and they have to pivot back and forth or in both directions. Here, as it spins, there are a set of needle bearings inside of the universal joint caps that allow it to move back and forth, as well as grease being inside. And this end of the joint here, it moves very freely in this direction, but it does not move this direction. I can't even force it to turn. So that's why the steering wheel was able to do it, along with the power steering, was able to overcome that joint being locked up. But that's what was causing the jerking motion and the hard steer in the truck itself, was the fact that the joint doesn't move here. So by putting the new shaft in, took care of the problem.
The right front caliper is dragging on this truck, so we're replacing both calipers and brake hoses.
With the wheels out of the way, we get busy removing the calipers. Next, the caliper brackets come off. We're wire brushing the caliper bracket bolts so we can put on thread lock. The new caliper brackets go on. Then the pads are put in, and then the new calipers. Lubricant is added to the brake pads where they slide on the guides.
With the line going to the hose loose, we can actually take the bracket piece out now so we can replace our hose. The line's completely off, now we can take the bracket out for the hose and put the new one in.
Students are doing the same thing on the other side.
This is a banjo bolt. It has a hole through the center of it, and that's how the fluid gets through the line into the caliper. We have a copper washer there, and we've got another one we're going to put on both sides of the actual banjo housing. So we put this onto the caliper, we put the bolt through it with the copper washer on each side. That'll seal it, and then we can get ready to bleed it.
Eric is painting the wheel with some satin paint. I thought about going to flat black, but I like the satin look a lot better.
Other than bearing services, it's been a long time since anything else has been done to this trailer. So we're going to replace the brake drums along with the backing plates with all the electric brake hardware for this trailer.
The dust cap and the cotter pin removed. We're taking off the castle nut, then removing the drum. Since we're replacing the entire assembly, we're removing the bolts from the back of the backing plate, and then the backing plate is removed. Our engine team will be heading to Marietta, Georgia, first thing in the morning to compete in their first regional event. Unfortunately, our bench person will not be able to join us as they suffered a concussion recently, but one of the Georgia teams is allowing us to use one of their bench people so these guys can go down and actually make a qualifying run.
What's first?
Run up the main gun, get him on! That's it.
I'm ready to spray the test panel with our tri-stage paint for the Fox body. The base coat is down, now the tint coat goes on. Now the clear coat goes on.
The test panel turned out great. Now we're going to let the owner of the Fox body take a look at it and see if this is the color he wants to use. In putting on the thermostat housing, the first thing you have to do is put on the lower section.
We're putting on the thermostat.
Here we're getting the distributor ready to paint, as well as the starter. Part of the starter is masked off as we're doing that in two-tone. Next time on Bulldog Builds, we'll have the new parts for our trailer and begin putting that back together. We'll see what the owner of the Fox body thinks about that color, and we'll begin working on that car again. We'll have more work on the SEMA build. We'll also let you know how the team fared down in Georgia, and I'm going to let you know what that 1950 Dodge is doing in the shop. See you next week.